fantastic mystics out there. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's conversation is entitled Heaven on Earth, and we are introducing you to a brand new term we call Glojo. So stick around for that and enjoy the conversation.
This podcast is a presentation of Pioneer Dream, celebrating 30 years of moving stories for our corporate, nonprofit, and entertainment partners. We invite you, fellow misfits, to join the conversation with text, emails, or just messages in the comment section below. As always, you can share this podcast with anyone you think would get it by sending the link now. Thanks for listening.
Hello, you magnificent mixed up mystics. Welcome back to the podcast. We are thrilled that you are here.
That was quite a piece of alliteration.
I got it out though, didn't I?
You got through 3 M's in a row.
This is your favorite secret podcast, the one you can tell no one about. Well, actually you can, but
No.
We're so thrilled you're here again. This is my co-conspirator, Ann Jeanette.
Oh, hello. How's
Say
everyone?
hello to the,
I'm not going to try to do
listeners.
3 M's in a row. I saw you take like
appreciate
a really deep breath. You were like,
Yeah, it
I
was
need
like a
to think
skateboard
about
trick and I nailed it.
you
So,
did.
yeah.
It was very impressive.
It is an exceptionally beautiful day in downtown Bartlesville.
The sun's finally out.
The sun is out. We've
After
had
how many days?
40 days and 40 nights of rain.
Yes.
And
the ark cannot be found.
you're right.
We're not really sure what to
We
do
are
about it.
floating away. But yeah, it's delightful out there today. It's like,
Yes.
as they would say, Chamber of Commerce kind of weather.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. It's
Yeah.
like in the 70s, or is it even in the upper 60s?
It's just
It's
glorious.
cool and nice
Yeah.
with sunshine. I know. We should go just hang out there after this.
How are things for you?
Let's see. Things are
You're in the wonderful month of spring.
yes, we survived the month of May. We've got
Yes.
a couple days left, but school is out. And our daughter is involved in a musical theater camp right now, day
Right.
camp. And so,
yes.
yeah. So anyway, I'd say things are pretty good. They're rolling. I'm glad we don't have to go to 14 graduations. I just have like 2 more things. There's a birthday party this weekend and
Yes.
a baby shower.
Right.
But I feel like that is, we can handle it. How about you?
Those are pretty much, and those are life things. There's not so much graduation. And, as we say,
Yeah.
May has become the new December. So there's so many things to do.
School activities
Yeah.
and ceremonies and all that. Yeah. So these are just a
outrageous.
couple life things, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we'll actually get to see our home some, which is nice. How are you?
I am well. I was joking with somebody at the coffee shop today.
Yeah.
Because they have to ask how you are, and
Well,
what can I
it's
do?
polite.
What can I get you, and how are you today?
Oh, you mean one of the workers?
yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I said, life as a human is fraught. I mean, there's a lot of stuff for people,
Nice
just
use
to deal
of
with.
front. Mhm.
and and it's a full-time job to take care of me. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of squirrely emotions and thoughts and things that
Sure,
I'm
we
dealing
all
with,
do.
and just trying to get through the day and keep myself on some kind of track.
Yeah.
And then you throw a wrench in that by saying you're also somehow semi-responsible for another human.
I know.
And now that she's 13, you got to try and keep her on the track as well.
Oof.
And I can barely manage myself, let alone family. So
And just
it's
think, some people have like 3 and 4
multiples.
kids.
That's not
I
my
know.
fault. Yeah.
That's true.
It
But
is.
yes, it's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
the 13 has not disappointed in terms of the curveballs we've been thrown.
The energy it's thrown us.
Yeah, for sure. So it's all good.
We're working through a lot right now because we're trying to expand her sphere of personal decisions and influence, that she
Yes.
has for her own life. And so, we've always tried to give her a great deal of freedom on music and stuff like that. We don't try that. I mean, we've been pretty guarded with what she watches on television, and
Yeah.
there's no social media and all that kind of stuff. But we've been open with her about music and all that stuff, and now we want her to own some of those decisions on what she listens to, and to recognize,
Yeah.
oh, when I listen to this,
feel
the
this
after
way.
effect of that is I feel like this.
Yeah.
And sometimes, all music has a place at some point, but then if that's your constant diet of certain music, then you can, you got to recognize how that makes you feel. And
Yeah. So we're letting her experiment with some of that, but hoping that she's going to impart some of the wisdom that we.
So a couple of nights ago, we ended up watching just a few minutes of the American Music Awards, and it was just bouncing back and forth between various levels of nudity for J-Lo. And I get it. I mean, if you're whatever,
She looks amazing.
she's like
Thank you so much.
75 with
Yeah.
the body of a 21-year-old.
Yes,
apparently,
and we're happy for her. We really are.
But I don't know that requires you to be naked all the time.
It does. I guess you've got to be naked all the time.
Yeah. So, just the whole thing of how naked can I be
While still
While
sort
still
of having a
passing.
semblance of clothing on.
while still not getting,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
And this is really not even a moral conversation. It's just sort of like, I'm tired of seeing it.
Yeah. And then there was one, and she was really nice. I don't know who she is, but there was one lady that won an award, and she actually literally could not get up the stairs because of her dress, and it was so low cut in the back and the way it was
That
situated
things were falling
that
off.
the camera had to cut away. They had to go to a different shot and let her get up the stairs in some semblance of decency by herself.
Yeah.
And then when she got to the top of the stairs, they cut back to her. It was like,
My
and
gosh.
the back of her dress, just looked like plumber's crack. I mean, it was just like, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, I just thought, oh my gosh.
You can hear the floor director, cut away from camera 3, cut away from camera 3.
Everybody look away. Give
That's
this
right.
young lady
Take
a
camera
chance.
one
and-
quickly.
yeah. And so in the midst of that, it's not a surprise that we, unlike when we were coming up, we probably only knew maybe half or less of the artists that were performing or receiving awards or had been voted for. So the American Music Awards are the ones where the
when
fans...
we watch this, we're a bit out of
so
touch.
it's the one where the fans, there's a category and the fans vote on who they want to win the awards.
Yes.
And so for the artist, that if you can get nominated, if you can get on the ballot...
It means you have a lot of fans.
It means you have, just that, but then also if you win, then that means, this is, fans said this. So I thought that was really amazing. And but we didn't know all the artists on there, but there was one artist on there. I think his name is Alex Warren.
Okay.
And so he ended up doing a song which is pretty popular right now called
Yeah.
Ordinary.
Oh, yeah, that's a good song. Yeah.
And he does not look like someone who should be singing, and he doesn't look like someone who should own the voice that he owns.
No, he looks like kind of a little soccer player, or like how would you describe it?
I would describe him as the store manager at somewhere you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so soccer player was too fancy.
I would imagine, like, if you walked in and he was managing Walmart or Big Lots or even the Target, you would be like, yes, this makes sense.
Yeah, just
That
a
he
nice,
would be,
sweet face. And,
that he would be kind of a platinum selling artist. You'd be like, I don't know, it's a stretch.
know.
That's a stretch. I don't know.
Did he have clothes on?
He did have clothes on. Nudity is not a requirement for men.
Yes.
Which I'm performing, which
It's
is
not a
funny.
requirement for women either.
Oh,
But someone told them and they believed it.
yeah, right. Well,
There's my commentary for the day.
but so anyway, he started it on a song, and it was just him initially in a spotlight,
Yeah.
and a band was behind him. And then from there, it was a rather simplistic staging.
Okay.
Then there was like this 40-person choir
Yes, just shows up on the chorus.
that looked like it had been cast by people walking past the theater on the street. I mean, they were not the typical beautiful people. I mean, they looked so common. They were all dressed the same. They were all dressed in black and all that kind of stuff. Just
ordinary?
they were ordinary looking people. And so I thought, this is interesting where this is going.
Neat.
And then they kind of do this wide shot, these big moving, sweeping shots, and you realize that behind them, which of course is all screen, is like 1 million stars.
Oh, cool.
And there was mojo. There was mojo on the song, and if you've heard the song, you know you can recognize that. You see that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was mojo in this setting, and it was
That's cool.
really stirring. And in my heart, in my mind, I thought, this is so interesting. Maybe it's the first time I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
But so much of humanity, so much of the human experience is at some level trying to emulate heaven on earth.
Yeah.
This is what we imagine heaven to be. We reference the stars and all the celestial beings as kind of the heavens, and we reference this movement and this feeling that this song is giving us as
Heavenly.
And it has what we would call mojo, or if you were from the early 80s, you might call it an anointing. And but it's just, as Bono says, it's when God shows up in the room.
And you can feel it.
And you can feel it. And on earth, we taste and we see those things. And it is in our DNA. It's part of who we are as both these spiritual beings and as these natural beings, that we kind of keep radiating back to. And then we as a humanity, as a race, and all our different forms and all our different religions and all of our different expressions, even non-quote religious expressions, we keep trying to get back to this sense of heaven, this sense of the divine. And we find ways to do that here on earth to the best of our ability. So to me, even sports, that's a made up thing. It's not going to win. It's not a war. It's not, you're not doing a contest and then from the ends of that contest, now we will have peace in France, or we'll, whatever, we'll feed the hungry.
Fight to the death.
No, but these contests that we have, if they do nothing else, they showcase all these things in us from even a divine sense. So the idea of brotherhood, the idea of perseverance, the idea of being faithful and competitive, and even the sense of glory and the sense of bringing crowd together in a unified expression and a unified experience. That's all divine stuff.
Yeah.
That is what we characterize or look at heaven being. And certainly from the sense of art, we're always trying to capture lighting and things that will stir the human heart beyond this plane of straight humanity into something that is deeper and more connected and more divine,
Yeah.
And even when we have, we do gatherings and we get people together, or you go to a concert, you're hoping that there'll be some transformative moment in there. And we won't all call it the same thing, but what we're really hoping is that we'll be transformed from this plane, this dimension, this experience into something greater than or beyond this thing.
And be reminded. Do you think that's because one of my favorite scriptures, which is really cool, is it says that God has set eternity in the hearts of man?
Yes. Yeah. Like what we would say is, like I
It's such a
reference
beautiful
this like
picture.
it's
sort of like
in our
we
DNA.
know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's part of it is literally part of our makeup. And,
Yeah.
And that part of our makeup
To want to get back to that.
is always trying to get back to that thing.
Which would indicate that we already know it.
Yes. There's a thing in us.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah. So if you are of the scripture,
Persuasion,
then, you can have these references to Jesus, who says, I'm only telling you the things that I heard while I was in the green room with the Father back up in heaven. These are the things we were talking about before I got here. These were the conversations. This is what he told me about. And then I left that space, and the spiritual space. Part of that spiritual DNA came into this world, this physical world. And now I'm relating to you the things that I have heard and seen in that space. And in the same way, as far as our Christian tradition is concerned, we believe that all life is God-breathed, God-made, God-inspired. And which I think is remarkable, because you can have things that go awry in the plan. You end up pregnant when you didn't expect to be pregnant. You end up pregnant through bad circumstances instead of good circumstances. There are tragedies and challenges to that thing. And yet, because the idea of creativity is a divine one, the idea of life is a divine one, there is still hope, even when that experience begins with something bad, even when that experience begins with something challenging. Because the act of creating life is still miraculous. The act of creating this is still a divine thing. That's the original plan, even if we're not living out the original plan on this earth now. And so, like you say, I think the whole thing in us is this tractor beam, this thing that's trying to get us, that every time we come across that, the ET light comes on and we glow and we say, oh, something special is happening.
Yeah,
here.
it's interesting. One of the things I think about mojo, or that concept where you feel God walk into the room, it's
Yes.
like a touch of the eternal, and I feel like we sync up with it.
Yes.
It's sort of like the sunflowers
Yeah.
that will, in a field, the way I understand it, they literally move where the sun goes.
Right.
Just slightly, but you could see if you were to take a picture in the morning
Yes.
versus where they are in the afternoon as the sun moves, they follow it. Just pretty cool.
Aren't sunflowers also the ones that will then begin to connect and follow that light in each other? Like when the sun goes down, I think this is sunflowers. They will radiate even towards one another and face each other
Really?
because
I
the
don't know about that.
the radiating light and energy is still on them.
Yeah.
Don't look that up, friends.
I'm
Just
going to.
buy that. Just buy that. Buy
That's
that
cool.
concept if that's not true. But
Google
yeah,
it later.
yeah, it is. And what's also amazing is
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't know. I came across this thinking about this today. We were watching something else unrelated, and you and I, like a lot of music, we're not huge country music fans.
Right.
We're not huge bluegrass fans and that kind of stuff.
Not the most, yeah. But
It's
a lot
not.
of people are.
Yes. But Mojo or the Divine
Yeah.
knows no genre.
Yeah, it can find its way into anything.
Yeah. So we were watching something the other day. It was very country,
Yeah.
and yet it had tremendous mojo.
Yeah.
And so the ET light went off.
Yeah, and
And
you
even
go,
though that's
"Oh."
not your genre, and even though that's not your thing,
Yeah.
we were
Moved by it.
moved and required to stay in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And watch that.
That's like that's what reminds me of that group that was playing at one of the amusement parks we went to. We
Yes.
just got off a lot of chaperoning during May.
So we were saying we were chaperoning like it was our job.
We were. That's right. So funny. We did Frontier City with the orchestra group, and so we helped at school with take them to one amusement park, which is a little bit smaller. And then the following weekend, we went with the band to Silver Dollar City in Branson. And
Yes.
so I know that you're allergic to bluegrass and country things, and so and I'm not far behind.
I feel
But
like you should take an allergy pill
Yeah.
before you go. Just something.
you should, yeah.
Like a bluegrass allergy pill so you don't get taken out
Yes,
when
a
you get there.
preventative inhaler of some sort, perhaps.
I'm sorry, bluegrass fans.
No,
I
it's
apologize.
okay. It's actually, they're amazing players.
Yes.
But but we were at the end of the day, we were walking past this group, and it cracked me up because they had like a lot of outdoor groups that were playing, and it was all like
lot of
bluegrass
blue
and
hair.
gospel and stuff. And yeah, I mean, mashed potatoes were being served
Yes.
with gravy.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were leaving, and it was a group, and they were actually singing like gospel music. And
Yes.
I knew it because I grew up Baptist. So in the early years of growing up Baptist, there was this group called the Gaithers. People will
Yes.
remember, and they were like a hugely famous. Honestly, they were probably the biggest Christian recording artists, like before Christian rock or anything. It was like the Gaither family.
Sorry, I missed that.
I know. Their harmonies were really good, though.
Yeah.
But these guys were singing, I think, either one of their songs or something similar in that genre, in that vein. And man, they were selling it
Yes.
genuinely and authentically, sweetly to the 50 people that were there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as we walked by, and I was like, that's mojo.
Yes,
and
it
you
is.
can't deal with it. And you were like, I know, man. Ugh.
Yeah. I did not love that music. And
No, but
yet
you could feel
the
eternity in it.
sincerity
Yes.
of the performance, which is hard. I mean, they're doing that show,
Probably a couple,
whatever it is,
3 times a day.
3 or 4 times a day in that open venue. And it's, those people have traveled from wherever they traveled from. And for whatever reason, they decided they were going to sit there and take in
And a
that
lot of them
concert.
just want to break to eat their corn dog, you know.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, this guy who's singing has tremendous sincerity.
Yes.
Believes everything that he's singing and
Was
saying.
so sweet.
And it was just mogenated.
Yeah.
And you're like, golly, how does this even happen?
I
But you know,
think-
that's, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think because God will use whatever genre to reach people.
Yeah.
So if what touches you happens to be 70s rock,
Yeah.
and it does, then he will sing to you in those songs. And if it's gospel for some people, believe it or not, or country, he'll find them in there. He comes to us, I feel.
You know what it reminds me
Mm-hmm.
of? We have some close friends who ended up moving away, Kathy, and they had 2 daughters,
Uh-huh.
and the 2 daughters could not have been more different
Yeah,
from each
and
other.
they were pretty close in age, but
Yes.
like just opposites.
Yeah, one
you see
was
this with twins
full-
sometimes.
One was full into hair and makeup and wardrobe and dresses.
Gorgeous and
yeah, all this other one. And the other one was couldn't feel more alienated by this stuff. It was completely into cosplay.
yes,
and,
like Harry Potter and science.
yeah, and wanted to go to Comic-Con and all these kinds of
Yeah.
weird places.
And
And she was always dressing up in this stuff and hair in different colors and all that kind of stuff. And their parents loved both girls so much that they invested in what both girls loved
Yes.
completely.
Even
And
though they
so
were
even
very
though the
different,
cosplay thing and the heroes and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
was so foreign and so alienated to both parents,
Yeah.
they made it a point and they went everywhere
Yes. And
with
they would
her
take her
to
and
do
they
that.
would buy the outfits.
Because it was more important to be with her in whatever it was that she wanted to do than it was to conform her or push her into something else or wait for her to come around or wait for her to find something. So the requirement wasn't, hey, I'm your dad.
Yeah.
Love what I love.
Yeah.
It was, oh, that's where you are. I'll come and be
come
with
over
you.
there.
I'm
Yeah.
coming to be with you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's amazing.
That's what you have to do with people that you love. You go to where they are.
Yeah.
And you speak the language that they understand.
So the way that Mojo is, because it is this magical, mystical power, it can literally land on anything. So you hear, we'll watch comedians,
Yeah.
and when they are in their moment,
Oh,
when
man,
they are
you're
in
so
their
smart.
element, when they're doing what they were quote made to do,
Yes.
there's such a smile and a divine yes on it that there's mojo on it.
Yeah.
So you hear, Nate Bargatze or
Yeah.
Dusty Lane, some of those people, and you're like, oh my gosh.
They were
this
born
is,
to do
and they're not
this.
talking about anything
No.
spiritual related. They're not, but the idea of, I think probably the thing about bringing people together, getting a room together on
Yeah.
one page, on one topic, on one thing, and then just releasing this
Yeah.
laugh
And
and
just
this
bringing
thing.
some joy.
There's mojo on that.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And the idea of making people happy and connecting people I think probably also because when you're laughing at that level, we forget about ourselves and we
Yeah.
forget about a lot of other things. And so there's a freedom and a joy and all that.
Yeah.
The people who make cars and people who do landscaping and bring those things to life, the people who make food and do it with just such a joy and a passion.
and
And,
an art.
there's literal mojo on that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And I think like the word mojo, so we grew up, you guys who've listened to this a little bit, grew up in an era where, I don't know, there were just like a whole lot of overly used spiritual terms, like that sounded weird to regular people,
Right.
like anointed or, called. And there's just like this whole other language, which is gross. And once you're, it can be sincere,
Yes,
but to
right.
other people, it feels gross. It's like an outsider language. And
Right.
so to me, the word mojo, which we kind of use, is sort of like, I think of it as it's like an enablement that God brings. It's like when you sense a giftedness from someone, and when that person, in essence, is at that point being a reflection of who God truly is.
Yeah.
And or a tool being used by him, you sense that you're like, oh, this person was made to do this. And sometimes you see that, and it doesn't always have to be art.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, art, we do tend to feel connected to God. There's something really interesting about. That's why we live our lives part of what we do is trying to make art, is because it connects us to God. But sometimes it can just be somebody who really makes you feel accepted and loved for who you are.
Yeah.
That you can feel mojo, like this person just has this ability. We had some friends, still have them, and they're awesome. And their mojo was to do like small gatherings with people. Hospitality, like it's a fancy word for a hospital. Like when you think about the term, it's they would have beautiful food and they'd have wine and just the setting that would be lovely. It wasn't fancy, but it was lovely, and it was a picture of heaven and having time to waste.
It was built around people.
And you would feel mojo in those afternoons that you got to spend there. And they would create, it was very creative. They would create these things. And that gift had mojo. It had like this enablement, this ability, this smile of God. And those are the moments that, gosh, I mean, when I think of that, sorry, it makes me tear up a little bit. The scripture that says, one day in your presence
Yes. Yeah.
is better than 1,000 here. And when you, whether you're walking through Silver Dollar City and you're hearing a gospel singer and you go, oh, I hate that kind of music, but I can really feel God's presence here. Or you're, walking by something else where you see someone just really being loving. When you feel that, you understand what that scripture means.
Yeah.
And we're just swimming down here in a lot of crap moments, just trying to do our best. And so, man, sometimes for me, if I just can even feel that maybe once in a week and be reminded.
You know what I think it is? One of the senses there are a couple of things that will happen as a byproduct or glow of mojo.
Okay.
And in this glow of mojo, things that happen are that we feel alive.
Yes.
It is the life force of God, the breath of God.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into contact with mojo, you're like, oh, I feel alive.
I feel alive. I'm
the other
connected.
And because of that, part of that glow is hope.
Yes.
I think I could go on.
Yes.
I was in despair. I was down. I was discouraged. I was whatever. And then I brushed up against this. And now I think I have the strength of the energy to go on, which is hope. That's what hope is. It's saying this could get better. Yeah. And so those two things I think are really, it's all the things. You feel less anger. You feel less rage. You feel less need
fear.
To have unforgiveness, or you want to let things go. All the things that are of the essence of God. Yeah. We feel that in mojo. Yeah. Justice, hope, peace, goodness, wanting other people to experience. When something has mojo on it, the very thing you want to do is share it with somebody else. And so you've got to listen to this. You got to watch this. You got to look at this.
Your mom is really cute about that.
My gosh.
She is so funny. She gets so excited, very, very focused on this one thing. But it'll be some song that she's found. Usually it's music because her heart's really moved by music, and she'll be like, okay, I have to play the song right now, and you're like, I'm not dressed yet. It doesn't matter. Get out.
You've got to sit on the couch.
Yes.
She's got to cue it up, which is now more difficult than it's ever been.
It is very hard to cue things these days, and she will also watch you for any reaction.
The thing. If you should by chance get 8 bars in and get distracted, she'll stop.
Oh no, we're
you're not
this
listening.
over.
You're not here. You really have to pay attention and listen to this.
Yeah,
and so she'll start the song over.
Yeah, she will.
Like,
and then when it's getting to like her favorite lyric, she'll smile, and she's looking at you to see if you smile at the right point.
Are you responding?
She can usually count on me for a tear. Although I feel awkward because she's staring at me. Yeah. But it's so cute. And the point of the whole thing is what she's saying is, oh my gosh, and I'm not even sure most people know how to put put words to it. Yeah. But she would say, you got to, I love you. So you've got to come and hear this too. You've got to feel this.
You've got to come and sense this. And I just came across this. And that's what mojo does. Mojo, when you've experienced something good like that, all you really want is everybody else to have it. Because mojo is not really isolating. It's not I'm not finding the right word. It doesn't push others away.
Yes.
It is bringing other people in.
Yes, it's not exclusive. Yeah. It's inclusive. Yeah. It wants everyone to be part of it. It's funny, we'll walk by, and my brother and I will do this sometimes, like one time I was doing some music at church or whatever, and we do this all the time. So it's not any big deal. So we don't have to compliment each other. We kind of just like this, we've done this our whole life. So it's not any big deal. We rarely would say anything, but I did a song, and I think it was an original song, pretty simple. I wasn't thinking anything about it. And he came up to me afterwards and he goes, hey. And I said, hey. He goes, mojo. Yeah. And that was like, on that song, that's what you're, made to do. I feel God in it. And it was just like a one word. We could call it Glojo. You said it was the glowing. Yeah. Is that also you use the term when something has shine on it? Yes. How do you see that as similar? I like it when you use that term. I think
it's that. I haven't thought about it until this. As we're looking at this, but when you think about, I think about glow or shine being this kind of radiating sphere, circle of light emanating from something. And when you get caught up in that, you feel the warmth of it, you feel the light of it, you feel that on your skin, So within that kind of aura of something, it holds within it all of this essence, the essence of God, which, is what we talk about, is expressed in the sense of life, the sense of hope, the sense of wonder, the sense of newness, the sense that things are possible,
right?
The sense of creativity, and then also this kind of sense of direction, in a sense of what is right in this moment.
Yes.
Because Mojo or Glomo or whatever you call it, Shine,
Glojo.
because Glojo has this essence of God in it. It has an intention. It's doing something. It's accomplishing something, whether we recognize it or not.
Yeah.
So if it's accomplishing something, then it has an intention or a purpose and a direction, and it knows where it wants to go, how long it wants to go, what it wants. And so if we hold on lightly enough, we can kind of get a sense of what that is and where that's going and what that means in this moment. And when we, not necessarily in a bad way, but if we stray from that, or we think, oh, I bet we should try this, and then you can kind of feel the light gets a little colder or the light gets a little lighter,
it's
and
like
you think, oh, that's not where you're going.
Warmer, warmer, colder.
So you go back, literally.
Yeah.
And so you go back to those things.
It's
and
it's how we try to make decisions. When you're creative type, and we believe everybody is, we just are sort of try to be open to that on a regular basis. We always say, so many ideas, so little time. Because ideas, it's like when someone walks up to you, hey, I have an idea for a movie. I was like, yeah, okay, I got 12 ideas for movies. That's not the problem. But anyway, that's my jaded self. Sorry, but that's the point. We try to get a sense of which ideas, maybe they're good for another time, but is there anything that has shine for right now?
Yes.
What is in the collective consciousness of groups of people, where are you maybe directing us? And so a lot of times it's like that sunflower picture again. Yes. We're like, okay, all right, I'm going to rotate this way, a little bit more. That's not it. There it is. And then we are able to connect back.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're doing creative projects or creative work or whatever, you will have initially felt shine and mojo on something, and it gets real hard after that.
Right.
And you have to remember what that shine feels like.
To trust that shine.
Remember that warmth?
Yeah.
Okay, go back to that.
This has mojo on it. This had mojo on it. I know this is right. It's a difficult part of the process now, but stay with it.
It reminds me also, I'm feeling very scripture-y today, so pat on the back about that. But,
you holy.
Yes. No, you live with me. There, speaking of weird words for 20 from way back in the past, you hear the word a lot of times prophetic, and we would be like, ooh, that just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, because there were a lot of weird people trying to get prophetic around, which wasn't always. But I think we've come to understand that term more as, rather than I gave a prophecy into the future, like in Harry Potter. Speaking
it's not
of
so much fortune telling as much as it is.
As much as it is sort of understanding the times or the present, and maybe just a bit ahead of the future, and being able to sort of get a sense of where the mojo is for that time. And I think certain people are gifted that way. You're one of those people. You're a thinker and a writer. And
I'd like to be known as Prophet J from now on, as a matter of fact.
Stop it, please.
Prophet Apostle J.
No. You need
Bishop Prophet Apostle J.
You need to find yourself a prophetess wife then, for sure.
No, I'm good.
I'm just kidding. But no, you've always been very aware of culture and what is happening. It's like an attention to people and an attention to culture and what's happening. Of course, my dad is very much like that. Yeah. He's always been able to see and understand, but it's a gift to understand where things are and to find the shine and the mojo in that moment. And it's always out of love. And wanting other people to say, for us to be able to say, hey, come and hear this. You gotta hear this. You gotta see this. See what's happening right now? You're not the only one. It's okay. Come see this. So it's about the other sunflowers.
There are two things that I think are really important and that are part of the takeaway in this conversation, this was funny because I knew this was the conversation we were supposed to have. I was so struck by this moment during the AMAs.
That's cool. Was I doing the dishes or something?
No, it just hit me, and
Okay.
we were actually, we were kind of closing out the night when that song came on,
probably
and
was
so I
doing dishes.
turned the
Okay.
TV off,
Yeah.
so I just thought
It
in
stuck
that
with you.
moment, and I probably had just had a Jameson, which was nice.
Well,
It was a good place.
whiskey can make you very. I like it.
Yeah,
it
just
makes you very
kind of opened up,
thoughtful.
and I just hit, and I thought,
Yeah.
God, how much of humanity is emulating heaven on earth, and so, but there are two kind of takeaways that I knew we wanted to talk about this. I didn't know where it was going to go. That was part of the excitement of it. I wanted to see where this was going to go to, and here are the two things that I think are part of this.
Okay.
One is life is difficult. Life is really challenging, and maybe at some level more now than it has been in the past. I don't know.
Okay.
I know it feels more difficult now in a lot of ways than any other part of my life, and also better. I mean, also greater. So I don't know how to balance those things.
Okay.
But when we come into contact with something that has mojo, we should embrace it with the beauty that it is. We should hold on to that. We should stop ourselves, steel ourselves, not rush past it, not ignore it,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Take a minute.
take it in.
Mm-hmm.
Be the sunflower and let all that light in you and on you, because it is the essence of God, and it will revive you, and it will refresh you. It will remind you of truth that you know. It'll get rid of the despair. It'll get rid of the heaviness. It is life.
Yeah.
And in that moment, if you will allow yourself to be still for just a moment
And even acknowledge.
and acknowledge
and
it and say,
say,
oh,
yeah.
yes, this has
mojo. Yeah.
I, for whatever reason, we've talked about different experiences, and I think in so many ways, because we are like all children in the light of God, and He is like our dad, and like the two sisters who have such distinct personalities and such distinct experiences of what joy is.
Yeah.
We're all different like that. So, how we experience God for a lot of us is very different. So one person has this experience, and so I have this little experience with God where a lot of times if something has mojo on it, I will feel it in a sense physically.
Yeah.
And so there's a little ping, a little pain right by my heart, and it just kind of glows, and I kind of feel it. Other times in my life, I've felt it more like on my face, like a heat or something like that. Some people feel something in their chest. Sometimes it's like a tremor or a shake or, whatever. But occasionally, for what feels like no apparent reason, I will feel that ping. I'm not doing something that is overtly spiritual.
Right.
I'm not thinking of something that is spiritual. I'm just there. But in the last couple of weeks, because things have been so challenging, if I have felt that moment, that little ping, that little thing, that little heart light, I stop.
That's cool. Yeah.
I put my hand right in that space.
Yeah.
I say, thank you.
I feel you here.
I breathe deep, and I do not rush past it.
Yeah, that's
because
good.
life is hard. And in this moment, you have just come in contact with the divine. You have come in contact with this other dimension. And I want to embrace that.
Yeah.
And I want to have the residual effects of being with this person in my life. And that will hopefully give me the grace and to go on.
Don't you feel as if when you have those moments and you stop and connect with them, two things. One, the word like to realign. When you go and get your brakes, is that what happens?
Yeah,
You get them
right.
realigned or whatever.
Your wheels. Yeah.
Your wheels.
Which
wheels,
is
brakes.
the direction you're going.
Yeah. But the point is, just like the picture of the sunflower,
Yeah.
either that sunlight comes by and you go, oh, that's nice. And then you keep looking around with your sunflower head. Or I think we have the opportunity to say, noted. Like, I feel you here. Please realign
Yes.
my heart with
That's
yours.
a great picture of that because, with a car, when something gets out of alignment, it pulls.
Oh, yeah.
It will pull you off to one side.
And sometimes just slightly.
Yeah.
Before you realize
So
it.
the driving is more difficult because you're having to fight against that alignment issue. It might pull you into oncoming traffic. It might pull you off of the road you're supposed to be on. But an alignment will literally realign you.
So that you're straight,
So you're
and
on the path you're
connected.
supposed to be on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The other thing that I think is really important, and you and I have talked about this a little bit lately, is, if there is a GlowJo, if there is a shine, then there is an opposite to that. There is a sucking, there is a pulling, there is a,
Yeah, you feel that.
Yeah, and so we're in a lot of that right now.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of conversations about social media. We've had a lot of conversations about phones. We've had a lot of conversations about politics. We've had a lot of conversations about that. And to me lately, as I've become, I think, more sensitive to this in the last week or two, I've thought, I want to be aware of the things that are draining GlowJo out of me. So if I'm in something and it is sucking life out of me.
Yes.
I feel this right now, currently, a lot with my phone. There's something about the phone and this portal of this little miniverse that takes you to that I find to be incredibly life-sucking.
Yeah.
If I spend 15 minutes to an hour on my phone for whatever purpose or reason,
Right.
I am depleted. I'm not, GlowJo has life-giving things. You
Yes.
feel more alive when you've come in contact with it. This other thing, the anti-mojo, I feel depleted.
Yeah.
I feel tired.
It's life-taking.
It's life-sucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Even when you're playing Sudoku,
well, I'm winning.
although I know you're really good at it.
And
That's
also,
become your
I am
social
at
media
a master
substitute.
level right now. So, no, I feel elated. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
If I were to spend too much time on that, yes,
Yeah.
it would. But,
Right.
I thought about that. So this
Yeah.
thing with politics right now and the news right now, that has not earned the opportunity for me to give it energy.
There you go.
It has not earned the opportunity for me to give it my anxiety, to give it my thoughts, to give it all this other stuff. It's not returning enough to me for me to give it that. And so I am on the lookout now for these things that are demanding my attention, that are demanding my energy, but it's still my choice if I actually give it to them. And right now, I am aware of what's happening in the world. I'm aware of what's happening in our country. I'm aware of what's happening in politics, but I don't have to give all that my energy. I don't have to give all that my focus. That would be life-sucking for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think, here we are trying to have our antenna up or out or whatever, looking for those moments in life where God's presence is there and there is mojo. And those can be few and far between. You really have to be tuned in. But the life sucking, it is before you 800 times a day. And those are our choices. Yeah. So, if you're making the wrong choices to have things that are sucking life out of you, and then you're getting one GlowJo moment a week, just as an example, it's pretty it's pretty hard to keep the bank, right in the middle. And so anyway, I think we have a responsibility to guard our hearts above all else.
Right.
And these are spiritual principles that I think keep us. I remember Evangeline, our daughter, poor girl. Luckily, she doesn't listen to these, but my dad always said growing up, when he would tell stories about our family when he was preaching is a fancy word, but giving a talk or a speech. And he said, people would always say to me, why do you tell so many stories about yourself? And he goes, well, next time you get up here, you can tell stories about yourself. But the point is, we're allowing our lives hopefully to be open and an example. Yeah. And so she was really struggling with some different things. And you talked with her about above all else, rather than the way we've had to work with her, because she is strong-willed, which is the best quality ever, because she's going to make a great adult and she's creative. So it doesn't really work very well for us to say, you can't do this, you can't do that. Of course we do on some things, but the point is we're trying to teach her that certain things take life and suck life, and others reconnect us to God. And if she can learn that principle, she'll be okay when we're gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think of this picture, nutritionists will say that essentially there are two kinds of food.
Yeah.
Either food is nourishing you or it is depleting you.
Exactly.
Either what you're putting into you is going to be taking stuff out of your body and depleting you and burning and like sugar, fire.
Sure. It's fun for a second. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be nourishing you and building things up in you and all that. And so music, movies,
media,
television,
conversations,
social media, conversations. Those things are either life-giving or they're life-sucking.
Yeah.
There's very few neutral experiences in that.
Yeah.
And so we have to be on the proactive side of that, the definitive side of that, saying, I want the things that are life-giving in me more. And if something is life-sucking, then I need to begin to eliminate as many of those as I can. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Doing taxes is not always a life-giving thing.
Working with certain people.
Working with certain people, certain members of our family, all those kinds of things sometimes those are just requirements.
Yes.
Laundry is not always a life-giving thing, but you can be gracious and grateful about it.
Yeah. But I don't want to be so quick to have my head turned by that sugar that's around, that when a good steak comes by, I'm not even hungry for it. I mean, I don't want to, I know you do. That's a great example for you. But in the same way, I don't want to be so enamored with all those quick fixes that are around us all the time. And believe me, I struggle with this stuff. That I'm so wrapped up in that when the mojo moment comes, my head is down over here, tending to all these. And then I'm not tuned in and I miss it. And that's, to me, what I think it means to, above all else, guard your heart. Yeah. Keep it soft.
It's if you,
keep it tuned in.
This thing about guarding your heart, which is so incredibly important, and that's why it's phrased the way it is, above all else, guard your heart. Because when your heart becomes hardened, it becomes nearly impossible to love fully and be fully loved. It becomes nearly impossible to laugh with all that you are. It becomes nearly impossible to see all the colors of a moment. It's nearly impossible to rest fully. It's nearly impossible to live fully when your heart gets hardened. And so, and even the sensitivity of knowing when something has mojo on it. When your heart gets hardened, there is a moment where mojo happens and you fight it off. Yeah. You defend the hardness. You defend, you protect yourself. And teenagers are the best of anyone I've ever known to do that.
Gifts,
and
special gifts.
And I'm not far behind them. Right. So there's a moment where we don't want to confront those feelings. We don't want to experience something because of what it might require from us.
Yeah, it requires a softness and a receptivity.
So we continue to let that hardness happen.
And we start ignoring it.
Yeah. So that's why that's critical. That's what all of that means. And unforgiveness, bigotry, judgment, all those life-sucking things will eventually harden your heart. So
complaining.
We talk about there's beverages you can have that will dehydrate you.
Right. I just had one, an energy drink.
Energy drinks, coffee, those kind of things will literally take the...
Yeah. Even though they're liquid, they take the moisture out of your body.
Moisture out of you.
Ironic.
And so you need something at that moment then that will replenish that, that will soften that will take the calluses away. Yeah. And that's what Mojo does. Yeah. That's what Glojo does.
It's what Glojo does. Yeah. And it's pretty interesting. I think there are things that God does allow in our life, and I wish it weren't so, but to humble us. And I think that difficulty and pain and embarrassment and all those things in life, there are times that God does allow those because they keep our heart soft toward Him.
They give us the opportunity to soften.
They give us the opportunity to either become harder or to be vulnerable about the hurt that's involved in that and accept, I think, His love to come in and help. And those are choices.
They are, but it's we're so if we're all being honest, we all have these really difficult moments, and sometimes the mornings for a lot of us are difficult. And
the mornings,
getting up and doing all that kind of stuff, and
yeah,
for whatever reason, like I've said, this has been a particularly difficult season. It's also been an amazing season. It's always been so good in so many other ways, and yet I have one moment with you, like this conversation, and there's mojo in it and on it, and my hope is restored. My energy is restored, and that is the concentrated power, like the active ingredient that is in GlowJo. Yeah. And just that little hit of that, just that little moment of that can reset your entire existence, can reset your whole thing.
Yeah, reset and realign. And I don't want to be caught up in so many other things that I can't catch that breath when it comes.
Right. So we will do those two things. We're going to be on the lookout, be on the awareness for mojo. And when it happens, we're going to pause. We're going to acknowledge that.
I love
We're
that.
going to drink it in. We're going to take the nutrients of that moment and be resituated that way.
Maybe share it with somebody who needs it. Yeah.
We are going to guard our hearts above all else by removing the things that are life-sucking. Yeah. And clinging to the things that are life-giving. And if something has not earned the right to take your energy, then don't sign on for it. Don't give it. So we're going to be aware of the things that are life-sucking in that process as much as we can. And so all things are either giving nutrients or they're depleting us. And we're going to make a decision on which those things are.
It's good.
And our lives will be better because of it.
I'm excited about it.
If you're not really having a full plan of knowing where this was going, this turned out to be pretty good.
No, it's very interesting. It's a pretty interesting topic. Yeah.
Right.
I think it'll encourage people.
All right, all you mystics out there, you've encouraged us. We're so grateful to have this opportunity. It means so much to us. Please take this, hit that little link button, and share this with somebody else. Somebody else needs to hear this and be encouraged by this. Somebody else can hear this, and you can have a conversation about it afterwards and get a tea or a beer or coffee or whatever, and just talk about it. And there'll be hope for you in that. But it's a super cool thing, and we're grateful we get to do it. So
we are. Keep your sunflower antenna out.
Yes.
That's what we'll do.
Until the next time, peace out.
Thanks for listening. We'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the podcast and then share it with the people you know. We want to include as many people as possible in the conversation. Thanks. This has been a production of Pioneer Dream.